This is my Chapman SG that I made from a Chapman ML2 kit that I got from reverb.com. This is my submission for the Great Guitar Build Off. It's got a mahogany body, a flamed maple top, not a veneer. To work out how to do the double cut to make it like a Gibson SG, I had to make a template that fitted around the neck. I made that out of MDF and then drew around the existing cutout. I then measured the distance from the top of this horn to the edge of the neck to get the diameter of this cutout, and then got a hole cutter that's one size smaller and used that to cut through where this hole was on the template. I then flipped the template over and used that hole as a guide for the hole cutter to make the top cutout for the guitar. I then used a saw to cut off all the excess that I didn't need. But then disaster struck. I didn't realise that there were weight relief cavities within the body, and I cut through to one. So there ended up being a hole at the side of the guitar. So I grabbed a trusty Jenga block, cut it to the size of that hole, and glued it in. To reshape the back of the neck, I used a Shinto rasp. This is one of my favourite tools, but look at the state of it. This has had so much abuse that it's lost all structural integrity, just like your mum. I needed to sand the inside of these curves, but I don't have a drum sander, so I needed to make one. So I used a hole saw, and I cut the teeth off with an angle grinder, glued some sandpaper to it, fitted it to a drill, and used it to sand those areas. For a top, this is my attempt of a lemon burst, so I wet the top of the guitar a few times and sanded it down just to raise the grain. I taped around the edge and made an orange dye and stained it orange. I then sanded back that dye to make it look like a burst, and then went over that with some yellow stain. I then went around the edge with some red stain and used some orange stain to blend it in. This is all with Crimson Guitar Stunning stains. Later on, I went over the whole of the face of the guitar with some Dartford's aged nitrocellulose spray just to make it a little bit darker. It looks awesome. I checked the frets and leveled those, also did a fret job. I sprayed a silver infinity sign onto the headstock. I taped up the body and sprayed the back with nitrocellulose. I went for Pelham Blue. It's a Gibson colour. I thought it'd look good and it hides the fact there was this joint where I glued a Jenga block into it. Now I wanted a Strat single coil in the neck, so I ordered a Bloodstone Classic 60s neck pickup. Why did I do that? Because it's a properly made Strat pickup, so it uses proper flat work, the right gauge wire, Alnico 5 magnets. It's a very similar spec to my favourite Strat pickup, which is a bare knuckle 63 veneer board, but it's a third of the price. I fitted that Strat pickup to a humbucker base plate and fitted a humbucker size P90 cover over the top. I did a full video on that. I'll put a link in the description and a box at the end. Nitrocellulose takes about a month to dry, and during that time England had a heat wave, which meant there was fret sprouts. So I'd already done a fret job and then ran my fingers up the side of the neck, and it was actually my friend Steve who pointed out that the frets were all sharp again, so I had to redo the frets. I started fitting all the hardware, which is all hip shot. I used a trusty Jenga block to fit the bridge pin surrounds. These hip shot tuners, now I love Grover tuners on a severe side guitar. I've tried, what did I try recently? Goto tuners, they're good, they're alright, but these hip shot ones, these came with the kit, they are amazing, so I definitely recommend hip shot. I'm not going to change the Grover ones I've already got, but I'd probably go for these in the future. I insulated the cavity with copper tape, fitted the electronics, burnt the pickup covers, and did a setup. Gibson SGs are notorious for their neck dive, so I've got some 3mm steel checker plates, and I drew around the cavity cover and delicately cut that out. I sprayed it with grey undercoat, then I sprayed it with silver, then I sprayed it with translucent blue. I fitted it, I realised it didn't go, so I sprayed it with grey undercoat again. Now it looks fantastic. My favourite part of finishing any guitar, and I do this to every guitar I've made, I'm slowly going through all the guitars that I own and my friends' guitars, is I use Monty's instrument food. I use it on pretty much anything that isn't a maple neck, although I have heard you can use it on maple, and it just makes the fretboard look nicer. I've used it on, I was surprised how good it looks on ebony, so I've used it on a few ebony fretboards. Works really well on laurel. It also looks really good on rosewood, but you'd expect that. It's just a really good way to make your guitar look better. And it's 15 quid. Disaster struck again. I'd lost the truss rod cover, so I had to make one. So I grabbed the trusty Jenga block, I cut a slim section off of that, filed it flat, drew round the truss rod cover from my Chapman ML3 and shaped it. And now I have a Chapman SG. It's worth noting that this wasn't my original plan for the Great Guitar Build Off. I had something else planned, which everyone I spoke to about it said it was too offensive and I definitely shouldn't do it. However, I had a couple of pedals made for that original design, which I'm going to show you. This is the Hairy Beaver Rangemaster Boost pedal from Hello Sailor Effects. I'll put a link to his reverb shop in the description. You can use this to push the front end of the amp into overdrive or put it in the effects loop and use it as a lead boost. Or if you have two of them, you can put one in the front and one in the back, just how your mum likes it. I'm going to be doing a giveaway for this Hairy Beaver Rangemaster soon, but check out his other pedals. He does a Koss off overdrive, which is awesome, and does loads of other custom designs, so check it out. But this is how the Hairy Beaver sounds. And this is the DILD-05 from Goliath Effects. It's based on the DOD-250 distortion. I'll put a link to the Goliath Effects reverb page in the description. I'm also going to do a full demo on this next week, so keep an eye out for that. But this is how this sounds. Just so you know, the bridge pickup in this is a bare knuckle Abraxas, and that's what I've been using so far. It sounds incredible. And this is how the single coil strat pickup in the neck sounds. Throughout this build, I was doing Instagram polls to find out your opinion on what you thought I should do at various stages. One of those stages was naming this guitar, and I gave 3 options, one of which was calling it Lemniscate, which is the name for the infinity symbol. One of the options was to call it Tracy, because it's a Chapman. And the third option, which you went for, was because of the colour, because it's orange, to call it Ginger. So we're going to call it GC. This Chapman SG doesn't really feel like a Gibson SG, mainly because it isn't one. And it's actually, well, it's more like a Gibson Les Paul, I suppose, because it's built from a Chapman ML2. But it does feel absolutely phenomenal. When I first put it together and started playing it, I thought I didn't quite get on with it. But once I had to do a setup, so I did the nut, did the action, just made sure the truss rod was at the right angle. Once the setup was complete, this guitar is amazing. It's really, really good. This is the demo I did on the hairy Beaver Range Master from Hello Sailor Effects. And this is the video on the DILD-05 from Goliath Effects. Both are amazing pedals. They will be staying on my board. Genuinely, if I didn't like them, I wouldn't use them. But I'm really impressed by both of them. Thanks for watching.